例えば己の一生が全て定められていたとしたらどうだろう。人生におけるあらゆる選択、些細なものから大事なものまで選んでいるのではなく選ばされているとしたらどうだろう。無限の可能性などというものは幻想である。人はどれだけあがこうとも定められた道の上から降りられない。止める者は止めるように、貧しき者は飢えるように、善人は善人として、悪人は悪人として、美しき者、醜き者、強き者、弱き者、幸福な者、不幸な者、そして勝つ者、負ける者、全て初めからそうなるように、それ以外のものにはなれぬように定められていたとしたらどうだろう。ならばどのような咎人にも罪はなく、聖人にも徳などない。何事も己の意志で決めたのではなく、そうさせられているだけだとしたら、ただ流されているだけだとした。トムが諸君がそれでよしとするのか。持てる者らはただ与えられただけに過ぎない虚構の玉座に満足か。持たざる者らは一片の罪とがなしに虐げられて許せるか。いいな、断じていいな。それを知った上で笑える者など、生きるということの意味を忘れた劣等種、人とは呼べぬ奴隷だろう。気の抜けた勝利の酒ほど今日のそげるものはない。運命とやらに舐めさせられる敗北ほど耐え難い苦渋はない。このような屈辱を、このような茶番劇をただ繰り返し続けるのが人生だ。よし、私はあがき抜こう。どこまでもどこまでも道が終わるまで歩き続ける。はるか果てに至った場所で私は私だけのオペラを作る。ゆえに諸君らの力を借りて虐げられ踏み潰され、今まさに殺されんとしている君ら、ひととき同胞だった者たちよ。諸君らは敗北者として生まれ、敗北者として死に続ける。その運命を呪うのならば、私のもとに来るがいい。100度繰り返しても勝てぬのならば、1000度繰り返し戦えばいい。1000度繰り返しても勝てぬのならば、万度繰り返し戦えばいい。未来永劫、永遠に勝つまで戦い続けることを誓えばいいよ。それができるというならば、諸君らが術の一部となることを許可しよう。永劫勝つため。獣のたてが、その一本一本が諸君らの血肉で編まれることを祝福しよう。今はまだ私も君ら、そして彼らも忌々しい輪の内ではあるもの。これから先、ここでの選択が真に意味あるものであったと思えるように、いつかはきっとこの無限に続く輪を壊せるように。さあどうする諸君ら、この時代の敗北者たちよ。私に答えを聞かせてくれ。戦うか否か。
Well, that was exciting. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Teo, and today I am bringing you the freshly translated Dies Irae. Now, I don't speak Latin. I'm probably butchering that. I'm probably going to keep butchering that for the entire rest of the visual novel, which from what I'm led to understand is like 80 hours or something, which is a lot of times to say Dies Irae with the incorrect pronunciation. I hope all of you poor Latin speakers out there will bear with me. Also, I understand that this series has a lot of German in it, which I'm also going to butcher. I also do not speak German. But language-related qualms aside, I don't know about you all, but I'm very excited about this visual novel. I know very little about the actual contents, but everything I've heard about it has been sort of glowing. I don't think I've ever heard a negative thing about it, which, granted, is partially because a lot of the people that I hear things about visual novels from read exclusively in English, and the game came out in English about 6 hours ago. But, you know, we're not going to focus on the negatives here. We're going to focus on the sweet Nazis and wizards and serial killers and knights and glowy black sword arms. This is what I gathered the game is about from the Steam description, which is about all that I know about it. But without further ado, let's get into the action and see what all the fuss is about. May 1st, 1945, Berlin, Germany. 12:27 a.m. That's early. The closing act of the Second World War was the manifestation of total war such as had never been seen before. No, the term carnage would have been more appropriate. Outmanned in every way, Berlin stood in complete isolation, slipping toward the crevice of annihilation. The nearly 500,000 troops marching under the banner of the Red Army had already surrounded the capital, making escape virtually impossible. Guns roared, mingling with the screams of the dying in an incessant cacophony of terror as the city was razed and its people massacred. Bloodshed, carnage, all in order to eradicate the enemies of this world, be they young or old, man or woman. Justice, revenge, love, peace, oppression, liberty, equality. The slogan one chose to attach to the horror made little difference. The chaos engulfing the bloody streets demonstrated quite readily the atrocities that would manifest when man was presented with a convenient higher cause to justify them with. Yes, for example, in this corner of the city, a blinding light flashed, followed by a roaring explosion. This latest bombardment sent even more soldiers, at least 3 whose silhouettes were still recognizably human, to their deaths, spreading their remains across the pavement. Letting out a loud curse, a man leapt out of the trenches with Panzerfaust in hand. Protected by the covering fire of his allies' Schmeissers, he dashed over into effective firing range. He rose to his knees, took aim, and pulled the trigger, firing a heat warhead. The projectile shot forward, smashing right into the flank of a tank. Its armor dissolved in accordance with the Newman effect, and the tank imploded in a torrent of liquefied metal and 1,000-degree flames. The man tossed aside his Panzerfaust, and, backed by comrades from behind, started cleaning up his remaining foes with his Mauser. Such was war. It allowed no time for idle thoughts. Only slaughter, murder, and bloodshed. No man could keep his sanity in this hell. And so the perpetrators of this chaos howled and raged, never looking back, reveling in boundless insanity to keep their blood afire. Within this flaming wasteland of gunplay, soldiers single-mindedly continued their murderous dance as if it were some ungodly ritual. Of course, in reality, it was all but child's play. Soldiers against soldiers, rifles against pistols. No matter how fiercely they fought on this battlefield, the outcome of this war was already set in stone. The Third Reich had crumbled, the ambitions of its visionary leader lost in the flames of war. What remained on that tattered battlefield was the shaken remnants of the defeated, and the mob of the victors, flocking like vultures to the smell of decaying flesh. Certain death. Inescapable defeat. Any attempt to retaliate was merely a self-serving act of revenge, with no hope of salvation. The situation had surpassed anything that might elicit notions of despair, transforming into no more than an absurd comedy of sorts. And yet... His heart beat still. His hand gripped steel. He would not stop so long as there were enemies to kill. For it was his sworn duty. If there existed even one thing, anything at all, to justify this hellfire, be it sheer insanity, then that by itself would have been a blessing in disguise. Honor and glory debased and disgraced, worth less than pig shit, and yet human life remained the cheapest currency. That was reality. After wiping out all the leftover foes and regrouping with his comrades, it dawned upon the man that there were only 3 of them left standing, himself included. The company tasked with protecting this block had been completely annihilated. The situation was anything but promising, and still more enemies were on their way.
先ほどあなたが使ったのが最後ですよ、総長。これはいよいよ終わりが見えてきましたね。
The young man flashed a bitter smile as he handed over his Schmeisser to the other. The older man glared at him, but offered no more in the way of reproach. The war is lost indeed. That was the bitter truth of it. Berlin had fallen, the company massacred, and the remaining 3 soon to join them.
まあここまで来たら別にそれもいいですけどね。ただ最後は格好よく行きたいけど、どうせ逃げられやしないんだし。
貴様、名前は？
ヨアヒム・ブラウナーと言います。総長は？
俺はバルター・ゲルリッツ。ま、名前も知らない奴と死ぬのはお互いにごめんだからな。おい。
The Master Sergeant, Walter Gillitz, directed his gaze at the final survivor of the company, a young boy who had thus far remained silent.
貴様の名前は？
The boy, eyes darting as he failed to hide his shock, was even younger than Joachim, barely in his teens. If Walter had a son, he might have been around the same age.
マルコ・シュミットと言います。総長。
そうか。
Walter was about to ask what a mere child was doing there, but ultimately swallowed his words. It was a foolish question. The enemy would show no mercy to them, not even to children. The reason for it was very clear. They were the bitter enemies of the Red Army, the despised members of the Schutzstaffel. Even if they were to surrender, the Soviets were doubtlessly uninterested in taking them as prisoners. As such, fighting till their last breath was the only option left to them. Walter was certain that Joachim was ready to give his life for the fatherland. The boy, on the other hand,
この戦争が終わったら、ベルリンは、ドイツはどうなってしまうんでしょうか。僕たちの家族や友人は一体この先。
知らないな、そんなことは。どうせあれだ。戦勝国様が偉そうに俺たちを悪魔だ、非人道的だなどと裁くのさ。笑わせるぜ。
Joachim shed his disaffected act, bitter tone in his voice making his true position on the situation clear.
ドレスデンに母さんと妹がいたんだ。なのに爆撃でぶっ飛ばされて、骨のかけらも見つからない。悪魔だって。一体何の冗談だ。俺たちは国のために戦ってただけなのに、それをあいつらクソ舐めやがって。
Alright, let me turn down the sound effects real quick because they're really loud. Like, I'm having difficulty hearing, like, even the voice acting, let alone my own voice. Yeah, that sounds more reasonable. He would never surrender. Yet even if he gave his life in the battle to come, the outcome of the war had already been decided. Nothing could change that, least of all himself. With his defeat, their fatherland and their descendants would... A single soldier was powerless to alter the great current of a war. Joachim tried to express his dissatisfaction with that reality as best he could, while Marco silently listened.
だから俺は。
Several rifle shots echoed from their left just then. Walter and Marco barely managed to duck into cover, but Joachim was not so fortunate. His head was shot clean off by the first wave, followed by an entire volley of bullets being unloaded into his chest. Pelted by machine gun fire, Joachim's body contorted in a queer manner, almost reminiscent of some form of dance, before finally hitting the ground. An anticlimactic finale indeed for the youth who had only moments prior expressed his desire to fight to the bitter end. I mean, he certainly fought to the bitter end. But such was the reality of the situation, the reality of war. There were no heroes here, no messiahs or miracles to save them, only men dying like insects. Should one allow his soul to be overcome by wrath or despair when confronted with this knowledge, it would serve only to invite the jaws of death to consume him next. The chaos of war would not tolerate idle thoughts. Knowledge of one's duty was all that was necessary.
Schmidt! Schmidt!
As Walter rolled into the safety of a ruined building, he shouted the name of his lone surviving comrade with all the strength he could muster. But instead of words, the sole reply he received was yet another flash, followed by a fiery explosion. The upper half of the young boy's body was flung at Walter's feet. The cramped alleyway was heavy with the stench of blood and scorched entrails. Walter powerlessly dropped to his knees into the vast sea of blood.
総長、すみません。僕はお役に立てませんでした。
Marco smiled, even as the last embers of his life faded away. It was unbelievable someone could still form words in such a state as this. Walter took the boy's hand.
死にたくない。 んだら僕たちは一体これまで何のために。総長、教えてください。僕たちは悪魔なんです。ベルリンはドイツの
喋るなシュミット。
As the gunfire continued, a brand new tank rolled onto the battlefield. Marco Schmidt was beyond help. Not even God could save him now. And so, Walter's rightful place now was on the battlefield, his hand clutching a gun and not the hands of a dying soldier. His ears lent not to the naive parting remarks of a boy, but straining to hear the breathing of his enemy. He knew that better than anyone, and yet,
僕たちは悪いことしたのでしょうか。だからこんな目に遭うのでしょうか。人を殺す水は良くないものだというのは分かります。でも僕たちは
Joachim, Walter, and so many other German soldiers just like them had done nothing more than take up arms to protect their fatherland and loved ones. Was that truly a sin? Surrounded by the flames of the dying capital, the young boy spoke in mere disjointed fragments, voicing a question Walter himself would have loved to pose to the heavens above.
おそらく
Yet after mere seconds of doubt, Walter answered curtly.
戦争が悪いのではなく、戦争に負けることが悪になるのだ。
Wow, that's depressingly realistic. Such was the way of the world, a cruel, bitter truth. Walter found within himself a growing resentment for the Lord.
それなら次は勝ちたいです。
Marco Schmidt then quietly passed away in Walter's arms, the man gazing up at the heavens. The young soldier's smile in death, albeit tainted with blood and mud, still held traces of boyhood.
そうだな。シュミット、ブラウナー。
A bitter smile mirroring Marco's crept onto Walter's face.
次は勝とう。次で勝てなければ次の次で。それでもダメならまたその次で。100万回も繰り返せばこんな結末をひっくり返せるかもしれない。
Interesting the parallels between Walter's proclamation here and sort of the opening scrawl. I don't know what I'm going for there, but the opening lines. The opening credits, as it were. Although I guess it's not credits because there weren't any, like, of the people that worked on the work there, so just the opening lines. Opening lines. We're gonna go with the opening lines. Because the guy in the opening was also, like, we're gonna escape this, relentless cycle of deterministic defeat, I guess? So I wonder if Walter is maybe associated with a person, or if this is just gonna be sort of a recurring theme in the work. The latter seems much more likely, but... His words might have seemed the ramblings of a lunatic beset by the armies of death, but they were more than that. Walter cocked his Schmeisser, confirmed that it was loaded, then charged out of the ruined building into the open. He unconsciously let out a battle cry loud enough that it threatened to rend his throat. Would he end up gunned down like Joachim, or share the same fate as Marco? It hardly mattered anymore. Either way, he'd merely die a miserable death befitting this miserable war. His mind was occupied by such despaired thoughts. In no way could he have predicted what was to come next.
天に増します我らの父よ。願わくは皆の尊まれんことを。
What's happening?
彼らに永遠の安息を与え、絶えざる光もて照らしたまえ。
Who is reciting the Lord's Prayer right now? In Latin? It was his soldier's intuition that drove Walter to reflexively take shelter. Wait, what was that? I didn't get a good look, but it seems to have made an explosion of some sort. His vision was drowned out by a blinding white light, and an explosion so fierce it dwarfed all previous bombardments. An explosion that seemed to rip apart... His vision was drowned out by a blinding white lightning explosion so fierce it dwarfed all previous bombardments, an explosion that seemed to rip apart the very heavens. Walter realized that this explosion was far beyond the level of any weapon that could have possibly been employed in urban warfare. What in the world had happened? The city he had literally staked his life to protect had been reduced to a charred wasteland. Although it took quite a while for Walter to regain his sight and hearing, there was still not enough time for him to make sense of the situation. Part of him wondered if it was all a sick joke. Only one thing was clear. Both his allies' corpses and the encroaching enemy troops had been annihilated. No bombing raid could have inflicted such immense damage, and although Walter had managed to survive the attack itself, his resulting wounds were deep. Pieces of steel and concrete blasted in his direction by the explosion had pierced his back and flank. The hand that once held his Schmeisser was blown off from the elbow. It wasn't even worth the effort to attempt to discern the number of more minor injuries. His incessant bloody vomit told him he had also suffered severe internal damage. He would not make it. Walter swore blindly, no longer certain of the target of his indignation. Just then, the voice from before rang out again.
我が祈りを聞きたまえ。生きとし生けるもの、すべては主に帰せん。我が魂よ、再び安らぐがよい。主は報いてくださるがゆえに。
It was a requiem offered up to the fallen soldiers. One sung in a beautiful voice. Not even a prestigious church choir could produce a melody quite this dignified. Yet at the same time, the scorn seeping into the voice was all too evident. Only upon the eve of the apocalypse itself could such a voice be conceived of as an angel's. It sung of the dead with scorn, ridicule, and mockery, deriving the utmost pleasure in trampling upon every last remnant of the dignity they possessed. The voice of a destroyer intoxicated by mayhem. This was the product of a black mind possessed solely by an inhuman malice.
彼らに永遠の安息を与え、絶えざる光もて、照らしたまえ。
And so, stepping onto the vast expanse of debris, the destroyer appeared, a demonic requiem at his lips. Alright, they got a cool scarf. And a cool eye patch. It was a young boy, lacking in years even in comparison to Marco, with a face so delicate that a careless glance could easily mistake his features for those of a girl's. A single look at the boy was enough to give Walter chills. His teeth began to chatter. Although he had lost a considerable amount of blood and his vision had grown hazy, the reason behind the freezing chill at his back lay elsewhere. The sheer enmity and pain radiating from the boy's visage indeed contributed to that. But to Walter, the most dreadful thing was the fact that he knew that face. There lived no man who'd fought on the Eastern Front and knew not of this boy. A beast possessed by an insatiable hunger, his aberrant mind ruled by inhuman madness. His single eye gleamed, silver locks swaying. He gripped a pair of guns, each engraved with the Wolfsangel? The rune of the wolf. There was no doubt, it was a face Walter could never forget. The face of a boy who had supposedly died 3 years ago.
シュライマー少佐殿
Eastern Front Assault Corps, Special Unit Leader, SS Major Wolfgang Schreiber. An unchained beast that slaughtered both friend and foe, the ashen demon that had supposedly met his end during a purge. How could he be standing here?
ああ、誰かと思えばバルター・ゲルリッツ総長かい。アインザッツグルペンじゃ迷惑かけたね。元気かい？
That would be a no, Captain. Hardly the words one would offer a dying comrade, especially one whose death was most likely caused by Schreiber himself. The boy flashing an innocently devilish smile in front of Walter was no doubt the very same person he remembered. And yet, his armband bore not the swastika, but a different symbol altogether, almost as if he were no comrade at all.
あなたがなぜここに
ん？なぜも何も僕も君も軍人だろ？戦って殺すのが商売なんじゃないのかな？
The boy playfully surveyed the landscape. It was proof enough of his statement. And what followed was nothing short of unnatural. Something akin to opaque vapor erupted in their vicinity, like a fog or a haze. At the same time, Walter's senses were assaulted by a dreadful moaning. Is he, like, stealing souls or something? Because those look like souls. These were the cursed cries of the fallen, fated to suffer and lament until the very end of time. This endless chorus of lamentation caused even the seething air of the battlefield to cool. These were the spirits of the dead. Walter felt like he could almost make out the faces of Marco and Joachim among the swirling mass, as well as the destination toward which they were spiraling. Straight into Schreiber's Totenkopf eye patch. He was devouring the very souls of those he had slain. That strikes me as rude. Like, That's gotta be a faux pas of some variety. Confronted with such a repulsive, unworldly spectacle, Walter could not determine whether he should give himself over to rage or simply weep. He longed for the repose of insanity.
さて、それじゃあ総長、僕はもう行かないといけないんだけど。君はどうする？
Schreiber, seemingly done with his meal, warily turned his neck to Walter. He was breathing his last, not in any condition to spill blood like a soldier should.
殺し足りなくはないのかい？今さら連中の100や1000を殺したところで何も変わりやしないけどね。でもだからって何もせずに黙ってる必要なんかどこにもない。見なよこのベルリンを。まったくひどいありさまじゃないか。こんなものが僕らの求めた千年帝国の終わりだなんて誰が納得するって言うんだよ。
Content?
できないよね。
Walter threw a piercing glance at the smiling boy. Indeed, no one in their right mind would be content with such an outcome. He'd had friends to call his own, a family to go home to, a woman to love. He cherished this country. All that became tainted due to Germany's defeat, dishonor that no centuries could wash clean. That was...
許せないよね。薄汚い劣等ごときが我が物顔で帝都を蹂躙するなんて。女や子供や年寄りを犯して殺して吊るすなんてさ。総長、忠勇なるドイツ軍人バルター・ゲルリッツ総長殿、君の気持ちを聞かせてくれ。君
The amount of blood leaking forth from Walter's mouth made speech difficult, but his feelings were set. Joachim, who vowed to fight till the bitter end, Marco, who wished for victory, their feelings as well as his own. The boy standing before him was unmistakably from the fold of the devil, but such things mattered little at that point. What he wanted was...
勝ちたい。
victory, honor, and glory for the fatherland. To bring peace for friends and family that had fallen. To bring prosperity for generations yet unborn. And above all else, for his very own soul.
ジーク入る。そうさ総長、素晴らしいよその息だ。君のような勇者にこそあの方の血肉となる資格がある。戦争は終わらない。僕たちが終わらせない。何度でも何度でも何度でも何度でも続けて続けて続けて続けて。
Interesting. So are they gonna have like time loops, or what's going on here? Oh, that would be interesting, combining like time loops with determinism. So you can have time loops, but it doesn't change the outcome. Huh. Grant us victory.
掴むまで共に行こうじゃないか。無限に続く戦場へ。
We shall claim victory in the next war, if not in the one after that. Hundreds and thousands of millions of battles repeating over and over again until this outcome can finally be toppled. Schreiber thrust his Mauser in Walter's direction as the last light of the man's soul began to fade.
彼らに永遠の安息を与え、絶えざる光もて照らしたまえ。
His requiem was one of scorn for the fallen, pregnant with malicious intent. And yet, Walter thought it beautiful, like the song of an angel. It was then that he finally realized that this was the apocalypse, and that he would soon join the ranks of those marching to destroy the world. He would become a strand of the beast's mane, one of many in his legion. So when they refer to the beast here, like as in the beast's mane, is that like the beast, like Satan the beast, or is this some other beast? The boy gazed to the heavens and offered up a spitting cackle, his silver hair dancing. The soul of Walter Gerlitz was sucked into the boy's blood-crazed eye and vanished. At the same time, in another place, a new nightmare was unfolding. An entire battalion of at least a dozen tanks had failed to bring down a single man. No, an entire battalion of tanks was being destroyed by a single man. In the center of the supernatural maelstrom stood a somber specimen of a man, darker than the blackest of nights. This is my problem with, what was the show called? Izetta the Last Witch, which aired, I don't know, 3 or 6 months ago or so. Like, you have conventional military, and then you stick a wizard in front of it, and in most magic systems, the wizard just, like, raffle stomps the army, right? Like, it's fairly one-sided. Also, I noticed that this guy has a similar scarf to the last one. It seems to be, in style these days. Beneath his neatly worn uniform stretched a body of steel trained to the utmost limit. A perfect fusion of the sort of artistry found in the great sculptures of antiquity and raw martial prowess. The man wielded nothing, not even a short blade. He fought with his fists alone. But they were all that he needed to sunder the armor of a tank as if it were nothing more than scrap paper. Needless to say, no mere man could hope to imitate this display.
化け物。
Indeed, he was a monster. Or if not, a weapon taking human form, a fortress upon the battlefield. Either way, the Soviet forces were dealing with an inhuman soldier, a being exceeding human boundaries. Furthermore, the towering beast of a man had yet to so much as attempt to evade any of the artillery fire being leveled upon him. Even after being pelted by countless bullets and tank shells, his body remained unscathed. However, that was only natural. For everyone knew this man, the strength in his name. So, your definition of natural, and my definition of natural, seemed to diverge somewhat crucially. Knew that he was the hero who had died a year before. And what was dead could not be killed. The man let out a deep breath. His overflowing will melted the surrounding rubble into toxic waste, blasting it afar with a gust of burning wind. His tightened muscles expanded to their extremes, as if longing for release. A hammer of steel. There existed nothing in this universe that could withstand the blow he was prepared to unleash. The energies gathering in his fists gave birth to refraction, causing the very visage of the man to distort. But as the man finished swelling up with energy and was about to unleash destruction, its fierce concentration suddenly let up just as it was about to reach critical mass. Almost as if something had ruined his mood. Perhaps he thought the panicking soldiers, having lost their morale, were not even worth killing. Then had those soldiers miraculously escaped the jaws of death? Of course not.
この世で狩りに勝る楽しみなどない。
Now, forgive me, because I haven't been to church in a decade or so, but I don't remember that line from the Lord's Prayer. Like the other lines, like the lines from before, those ones I remembered. I don't think the Lord's Prayer says anything about the thrill of the hunt. The song of the cruel huntress echoed across the night. A scorching wave of pure flame passed by the man, devouring the soldiers, burning them to cinders. This was clearly no ordinary weapon. Its destructive force far exceeded the power of Molotov cocktails or tank fire. It was more akin to a pulse of concentrated energy from a nuclear blast, as impossible as that seemed, than any urban weapon. Otherworldly screams of pure agony reverberated throughout the war-torn battlefield now engulfed by a sea of flames. The soldiers, assailed by the instantaneous burst of fire, had evaporated without a trace, but the hate-filled screams of their souls rang out into the night. This was the same phenomenon that Schreiber had conjured up just a moment earlier.
くだら
Oh, she's kinda cute.
脆い。そして弱すぎる。所詮は劣等の魂だったか。空気も大きい。
It was uncertain for how long the woman had been standing back to back with the somber man. Her tone was grim and bereft of joy, her visage deep crimson, her swaying hair the color of fresh blood and hellfire. She would possess a certain calculating beauty were it not for the gruesome burn marks covering the left half of her face. As such, her visage evoked only a grim awe born from a marriage of the fair and the repugnant.
それで、私に何か不満があるのか、英雄だ。貴様、いかにも気に入らないという様子だ。
Gracefully letting forth a puff of cigar smoke, the woman posed a question to the man at her back. No answer came.
まあいい。殺しすぎるシュライバーと合わせれば、ちょうど均衡が取れよう。無人の矜持だかなんだか知らんが、せいぜい大事にするがいい。ここは奴らにうまく攻め落としてもらう必要がある。故に殺しすぎるのも 殺さなさすぎるのも等しく罪だということを自覚しているなら何も言わん。それとも貴様、一度タガが外れれば皆殺しにしてしまいかねないから抑えているのか。であるなら私も同じ心境だが。
No one could be blamed for mistaking the Crimson Woman's words for those of a lunatic. No sane person would speak as if they were capable of destroying the entire Red Army surrounding Berlin on a whim.
宣告、相当閣下が行かれた。無双家の長官殿も小うるさい宣伝屋もいずれ後を追うだろう。そして大量の市民と同胞を道連れにこの程度は陥落する。犠牲としては性質創造を試みるのになるほど適当な触媒だろうよ。敵を幾百万捧げたところで守るべき民、愛すべき友、彼ら10人の方が命は重い。それが人間というものだ。さしずめ貴様はその理屈に苦しんでいるというところ。結構なことだ。苦悩もまた逃げになる。
ザミエル、
The man finally spoke.
メルクリウスはどこにいる？
何？貴様、あれに何か用があると？
Silence again. The man failed to answer. The woman narrowed her eyes, her gaze heavy with suspicion, before letting loose an exasperated sigh.
やれやれ、まただんまりか。寡黙すぎる男というのも考えものだな。まさかあれと戦おうなどと考えているわけでもあるまい。そして仮にそうだとしたらくだらんよ。バカバカしいからやめておけと言ってやる。あれは絶対に殺せない。いや、もしかしたらある意味では楽にひねれるのかもしれない。
Wait, I'm confused. You can't kill it, but you can easily dispose of it? You lost me.
いずれにせよ、あれは我々の上官であり、狩猟殿の盟友だ。貴様が範囲を持つというのなら、はっきり言って捨ておけん。
俺にそんなつもりはない。
だろうよ。貴様の硬すぎる頭の中にそんな計算などあってたまるか。故に私はさっきの質問に答えて。
She lifted her head to look up at the sky.
我らが黒煙卓の指導者お二人は兄弟のごとく仲が良い。であれば必然あれのいる場所は決定している。見るがいい。
Meanwhile, up in the Berlin sky, tainted by blood and fire, taking form through the carnage of the capital, was a tremendous swastika. Huh. A man stood atop the towering spire in its center.
総員慶中、我らが主、偉大なるハガルの君の恩前である。そのお言葉、目視、刮目して拝聴せよ。
Her booming voice echoed in the ears of all living men in the city of Berlin, as if through some sort of sorcery. I mean, it probably is through some sort of sorcery. At that very moment, all soldiers ceased their fighting, all children dried their tears, and all elders stopped their flight. Each and every soul in the city gazed up to the sky as if possessed. Its deep canopy was tainted by the blood and fire of the city below, boiling as if for some sort of cauldron. The Berlin Heimel. On the very day the thousand-year rite crumbled to dust, a devil of blinding light descended from the heavens. Oh, this looks like the summoning circle thing from the intro. Its locks like a floating mane, golden in color. Is that the mane of the beast? Is that, like, this guy's hair? I'm assuming the mane of the beast is not this guy's hair, but how funny would it be if it was? His regal gaze equally golden. It was the gold of splendor, of brilliance surpassing creation itself. Beauty mingling with heavy solemnity. yet at the same time, beastly in hue. Damn it, you're not convincing me that your hair isn't the mane of the beast. A being that should not exist in the realm of man, the harbinger of beguiling light? What? At his side, a man with features vague and twisting as the darkest of shadows. He was garbed in the plain robes of a hermit, with ambiguous features that made it impossible to discern his age. A yin to his yang, the two of them existed on a level far removed from that of any being gazing up at them. They were the monsters whom even the monsters feared. Number 1 and 13 of the Longinus Dryzen Order's Obsidian Round Table. Okay, so we know there's at least 13 people in this round table. I was about to wonder about that, right? Because we know about the silver-haired kid at the beginning, the flame chick, the guy who doesn't have weapons, and now these two new ones. So there's at least 8 members of the round table that we haven't met yet, unless they skip numbers, which is not impossible. And these two seem to be, like, the bosses, so I assume 1 and 13 are the sort of beginning and end of the numbers, so I would be surprised if there's more than 13. It's probably, like, exactly 13. Captain Gold Hair here is number 1. Captain Gloomy Black Hair is number 13. The other 3 we just met are probably somewhere in the middle. And presumably we'll be introduced to all 13 of them in time. It's Leader and Vice Commander. Although it's weird that you put the Vice Commander at the end of the list, right? It makes more sense to have them as number 2.
Kera.
Gazing down at Berlin, no, the entire world, the man of gold began his speech.
己の一生が全て定められていたとしたら何とする?
Okay, so I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the guy from the opening reel was not Walter. It's this guy.
勝者は勝者に、敗者は敗者に。なるべくして生まれ、どのような経緯をたどろうとその結末へと帰結する。この世界の仕組みとやらがそのようになっていたとしたら何とする？ならばどのような努力もどのような怠慢も祈りも願いも意味はない。神の恵みもそして裁きもすべてそうなるように定められているだけだとしたら、ケラ悪魔の子、世界の敵として滅ぼされんとしている者たちは一辺の罪とがなしに侵され奪われ踏みにじられているに過ぎない。この忌むべき月頭の輪の中で死すらもまた解放ではない。英語そこに至れば回帰をなし再び始まりに戻るのみ。そしてケイラの始まりとは侵され奪われ踏みにじられる敗北者としての始まりだ。故にこの後も無限に苦しみ無限に殺され続けるだろう。そのように生まれた以上そのようになるしかない。それを口惜しいと思うか否か。
Yeah, I would find that a little bit annoying.
覆したいと思うか否か。
Sure, you seem trustworthy. The man's grim words reached every soul residing in Berlin. Nothing awaits you but eternal suffering, eternal defeat. The people of Berlin could not deny his claims. The Golden Beast's proclamation rang out with the urgency of the trumpet of the final judgment. This was a man possessed of a supernatural charisma. Utilizing extreme conditions in order to manipulate the will of others was hardly a novel trick in and of itself, but the sheer scale of the man's performance here warranted deeper scrutiny. His voice possessed a magical quality, capable of penetrating the very heart of all those who heard it. The best comparison was to the cries of dragons from the Age of Legends. A juggernaut of a voice that would not fail to ensnare any mortal. Wait, does this story have dragons in it? I love dragons. And the being that possessed it was certainly no mortal. The Golden Beast. The Black Prince. The Harbinger of Beguiling Light. The Monarch of Destruction. Wait, is he also the Black Prince? It makes more sense to have the guy on the left be the Black Prince, right? Given his hair color. Like... unless they're like alternating back and forth, like... guy on the right is Gold Prince, guy on the left is Gold Beast, guy on the left is Black Prince, guy on the right is Harbinger of Beguiling Light. Guy on the left is Monarch of Destruction. It's very ambiguous. Like, are these all about the guy on the right? Every word that passed forth from his lips was saturated in magic. He gave the command.
思うならば戦え
If you wish to overcome your miserable lot in life, then offer your very soul.
運命とやら有血統に入るのを拒むなら
If you long to wash away the stigma of the defeated,
共に戦え
take the pen and sign the pact with blood. It was the temptation of the devil himself. The Golden Monarch looked down upon the lesser beings crawling upon the earth and posed a question to them.
K 何を求める
The answer was all too evident. Grant us victory. Grant us victory. Sig Heil Victoria.
承諾した
A deep fissure ran across the man's perfectly beautiful face. To conjure the words of Dr. Faust, his features portrayed the uncanny equilibrium of a genuine smile and a grotesque sneer. Mephistopheles, the harbinger of beguiling light. The name of the wicked fiend that could grant man's every wish in exchange for his living soul.
ならば我がレギオンに加わるがいい
The moment those ponderous words left his lips, the unthinkable happened. All men with guns in hand took them to their mouths. All those wielding blades thrust them deep into their own chests. Those without armaments plunged themselves into the hellfire still raging around them. Guns roared, steel drank blood, men plunged to their deaths. Suicide unfolded on every street corner. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands rushed to their deaths with abnormal haste, their souls being absorbed into the Golden Monarch. Okay, so there's very little doubt now that this guy's hair is in fact the mane of the beast. It was insatiable holocaust engulfing the entire capital. This could not have been the first time. He'd consumed countless souls in the past. Was this then the final ritual necessary to complete his task? A grand sacrificial altar, stained by the blood of soldiers and countrymen, who'd looked up to him as a savior, begging for salvation. In all its grimness, all its cruelty, all its terror, it was...
美しい。まさに悲劇。あなたを慕い、あなたが守るべき者たちがあなたのせいで死んでゆく。あなたはそれを嘆き、喜び、自らの力へと変えるだろう。
So this is the guy on the left then?
我が友。私がこの滑稽な人生でただ一人畏敬の念を抱いた獣殿。あなたはこれから何をなす？
The shade of a man who had remained silent until now finally spoke.
あなたは一体何を求める？
愚問だな法則の破壊と超越私に道を示したのは K だろもっとも他に個人的興味がないでもないが
それは一体
法則を作ったもの
Ah, he's gonna kill God.
なるほど。すなわち
God, or perhaps the devil. The shade chuckled, its lips widening into a smile.
私は優秀な生徒を得て幸せだ。鋭引回答を正しく理解しているのはやはり現状あなただけか。いや素晴らしい。この瞬間だけは何度経験しても飽きが来ない。それだけに正直名残惜しくもありますが。
行くのかカール
ええ、その名も置いていきましょう。いずれ必ず会えるはず。半世紀もすれば東方のシャンバラが完成する。そこに私の代理を用意するゆえ、下僕たちの遊び相手にでもすればよろしい。今回の契約であなたの魂は他に比類なき強度を得た。性質創造の思考も果たした以上、怒りの日までこちらにとどまる理由はありますまい。クリストフのこともある。万全を期すために幾人かあちらに連れて行ってはいかがです？
I see. So maybe we lose some percent of this 13 obsidian table people. But some percent of them are gonna time travel with Captain Gold into the 90s? Is that what I'm to gather here? Presumably, it's the 3 that we've met so far, and they don't have to waste time introducing other characters.
無論元よりそのつもりだザミエルシュライバーベルリッヒンゲン彼らを共に連れて行こう
Hey, I called it.
結構それは隙のない人選だ。 というより、あの3人以外では今のあなたに随伴することなど叶わぬか。
The two men exchanged words in a casual tone, perhaps reminiscent of two chess players contemplating their moves, even as scenery from hell spread out beneath them. It was apparent why the two of them would have been seen as brothers. They shared a certain air of resigned enlightenment, as if they presided from lofty heights lesser beings could not dream of reaching. No tragedy, no comedy, no creation under the sun would move them. Their laughter was no mere sneer, nor their actions merely the result of a frozen heart. Rather, they were worn down by time itself, imbued with the uncanny aura of an ancient sage. Gazing up at the two of them were roughly 10 others in military uniform, standing completely unscathed within the decaying capital of agony that was Berlin. They were the fangs and claws of their golden master, and among them, the three mentioned earlier surpassed even the rest. The Crimson Woman had tears of joy trickling down her face. In response to the honor of being chosen by her golden commander, her loyalty grew fiercer than ever. The silver-haired boy responded with sulk, lamenting the temporary end of his carnage. For the moment, however, he vowed to acquiesce. The somber giant stood silently, seemingly oblivious to all but the shade he fixed his gaze upon. Worry not. Your wish will be granted soon enough. I would appreciate it if you would not gaze at me quite so forcefully. The specter of a man grinned, amused by the giant's electrifying gaze, before turning his attention to his golden brother once more.
ではまたいずれ、獣殿。再び我らがまみえる時こそ、互いの目的が成就すると祈りましょう。
いいな。成就させると誓うのだ。傍観するだけでは何もつかねえ。K の悪い癖だな、カール。
確かに。であれば、ここに誓いましょうか。
Totenkopf empire that had waged war against the world had finally met its end. Whether it be true or not, it is an oft-repeated anecdote that Nazi Germany, in possession of some of the world's most advanced technology during this time period, had dabbled in obscene rituals behind the scenes in a pursuit of the secrets of black magic. What became of the demons brought forth by those experiments and all their diabolic relics? Their whereabouts would remain unknown, assuming they ever truly existed to begin with. And so, 6 long decades came and went. And that's where we're going to close for today. So that was exciting. There was burning and dying and a guy with sweet golden hair. Wait, this isn't half a century. They lied. This is like 61 years. Half a century is 50 years. I feel like I've been deceived in some capacity. I wonder if that's intentional or not. Like, maybe they were shooting for 95, but then something bad happened and then they just had to hold tight for 11 years. Or maybe half century was a rough estimate. Perhaps we'll never know. Perhaps we'll find out next time. So, look forward to that, I guess. Although I would be surprised if we actually found out next time. But anyways, this has been Teo, reading Dies Irae for you all, and I will be back tomorrow. Catch you all then.